right now what that would be. They'd want to see a little bit more. They'll probably just pick their 5 here. Yeah, Disruptor it is. It's been a really powerful tool this tournament. The Aghanims is like always like the X factor on this hero. You could be like down so far in gold, but if you somehow get a nice Blink Static Storm off, you can turn any game with this. So part of the reason why Disruptor is so popular.
10 seconds remaining.
Very much so, and VG are going to have to pick up 2 heroes back-to-back here. Kezu, how's that one looking?
So I feel like for them, they're just going to take one of their supports, and now it depends a bit. Perhaps they feel comfortable enough to take their mid here and then look to have the clockwork like play towards their mid, which I'm not too sure. A lot of the heroes that they want are not in the pool. I would have felt like, so here if you're Vici, again you want to solidify your team a bit, perhaps you go for the BAB Mars, but of course Liquid isn't going to give that one to you, because I think both teams need to look at like their type of how do they want to team fight, what are your win conditions, and Vici already, they made it clear, Morphling, you're our boy, we're going to buff you up, we're going to give you the team fight you need, and then go from there. But this offlane pick right now for Vici, I feel like might put them a little bit out of their current comfort zone.
Something that I actually spied there looking at the camera a bit for Liquid, seeing that it is pick time for Vici Gaming. They're not really talking at all, so it kind of feels like they're not planning too far ahead, but taking that step by step here in a crucial game, which is also a good indicator that they're really just staying in the moment here too. You could in sometimes start to plan about, okay, are we where are we putting the Shadow Fiend? Do we want to pick our carry next? Do we go for offlane? What do we want to do in the last phase? But they really want to just take it step by step.
5 seconds remaining.
That looks like a block pick. I mean, it's pretty okay, I guess, versus Disruptor, but I could definitely see Liquid taking that Lycan if Vici didn't snag it right there. We saw Secret running that against the Morphling every game. Maybe they're a little afraid of that. So I wonder how much of that pick was influenced just to like block pick and kind of like cover the Morphling's trail here.
Yeah, I hope that they feel good about it. They can in a way. I don't think they're necessarily banned for it that much. That is sometimes a little bit of the problem. So when you have this Morphling on the closing pick in the first phase, you often need to ban a lot of heroes for some of these carries. Like Morphling, he will always require like an AA plus 1 carry ban. But I do think, so with this Lycan, as I mentioned, that maybe they didn't ban for it as well as perhaps they should. I feel like Liquid's closing pick in this phase, they should really look at a Tidehunter type of hero. This Grimstroke Lycan combo is somewhat cool actually, because you can Inkswell the Wolves, you can also Inkswell the Clockwork, so that's kind of cool. But in terms of Liquid, I would be very surprised if we don't. They're gonna either answer with their carry here, because you don't really want to play SF safe lane against Lycan, it's
5
not that
seconds
great.
remaining.
Or you just take the Tidehunter here. I feel like it truly answers a lot of the team fight. Morph doesn't want the BKB early. You deal with all the Lycan that's running in, because currently, as we said, the supports don't deal with it all too well, and he can build auras for your SF and your last pick.
Played Morphling Lycan twice, and they've won both games with this combo, but this Grimstroke, which we haven't really seen at all, there's only one Grimstroke game in the entire tournament, and that was played by Infamous.
Yeah, it's because the hero is not that strong right now, I think.
Yeah.
You beat me to it. I was going to be like, Fia, what do we think about it? How do we rate it?
I mean, I think they're either going to win this game, right, and be like, this is amazing, or they're going to get eliminated doing the memes. Like, this is quite simply, they picked this to put the Inkswell on the Wolves, right? And it's either going to be really cool, or it's not going to work. So I'm a little like scared here for Vici, but you can also go into the Aghanim Scepter on the Grimstroke and turn the SF if he goes a physical build, right? And that is pretty powerful. I am a little afraid about the tempo though of Vici's draft, as Clockwork has his work cut out for him this game. They do have one more pick, and I think they're kind of like forcing their mid laner to be more of like a stun type of initiation role, but you don't really want to play those heroes into the SF mid, as it usually gets pretty bodied there. Maybe Tiny's the one hero I think can lane SF pretty well as one of those melee type of heroes, but it might just get banned. I'm a little afraid here for Vici's like team composition.
I mean, the team composition for Liquid looking pretty good. I mean, they pick up the Beastmaster here, something to allow a little bit more vision for this Disruptor. Hopefully some plays coming out. They're going to get overall last pick, Kezu, but how do you feel their team composition and their tempo is compared to Fia, who's worried for VGs?
Yes, I think both teams have the potential to be like very up-tempo in their drafts, and the thing is there's a very high chance that the mid-pick is going to be the difference maker, and as Fear is saying, I definitely agree with this point. There's not that many mid-heroes that you can pick here blind, like either blind where you get counter-picked or where you lane against SF, that help you achieve what you want, which is like, okay, we want you to be fine mid, but then also go and rotate to the Lycan to like help open up the game or be able to counterplay the Beastmaster in the safe lane. I feel like that's a little bit worrisome with the Tiny being banned out. Liquid understand it. Fear also called it. It was probably one of the better picks for Vici. So right now, I think going into the last phase, it will usually be easier for the second pick team, which is Liquid in this case. But it isn't always this favored, because I feel like this last pick for them can really seal the deal quite hard if Vici mispick.
I would be super curious if VG decide to go something like Lina here. Like I was thinking Viper for a bit. I think they got banned by Liquid though, but the Lina to at least have some kind of straight combination with the Grimstroke Void was something I thought that has a bit of synergy, keeping heroes close to each other, get more pump out of the Resonant Pulse, but they decide to go for the Puck instead, so at least that gives them some early game potential. A hero that can get away with a very good game, but there's a lot of lockdown, at least on the side of Liquid, so if this Puck gets caught once, that could spell disaster for Vici.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the one of the few like range tempo heroes they could have picked. I just don't know the SF Puck matchup that well. Very curious to see how XM will perform in this one, as SF is like probably the strongest mid laner I would say right now as far as mid lane domination. So yeah, if to be able to make space, you have to have a decent lane, and I think Puck does have a chance in that. So I do like this pick. I think it's better than picking some melee hero here. So there's the Lone Druid. That's probably my favorite hero in Dota. I'd love to see him played. And this particular game, Lycan is a hero that does pretty well versus Lone Druid in the laning stage. He doesn't get bullied that hard. Versus, they're going the same route, right? They're picking a hero that doesn't really get affected by the Aghanim's. That's a Lone Druid. So they're eliminating that option of going for the Ags play on the Morphling here. So a lot of building damage too. I could go on forever about this draft. I kind of love Liquid's draft here. They have like the minus damage on towers from like the talents, or minus armor on talent from the Shadow Fiend with the Lone Druid Deso. They could actually end this game super fast.
Okay, well I might come back to you, Fia, but I want to hear thoughts first, because for you, how you feel this draft ended out.
So I think it's Liquid favored, but there is definitely a world, again, we've had this a lot of times today, where one team is maybe don't like that draft as much, but they have a small chance to play like super high up tempo. The Lycan can have a very good game with the Grimstroke, Puck Coil, Clockwork Hookshot. They really need to execute this to like a very, very high degree. Otherwise, I think Liquid will walk away with this game.
Alright, T-Panda, this game number 3, is it going to be that reverse sweep?
Potentially, maybe. I mean, Vici Gaming, they have a pretty solid, well-rounded draft in the end, but Liquid has one perk here that we haven't really seen Vici Gaming utilize, and that's Rat Dota, because, you know, like we already mentioned, the Bear combined with the SF, that is some massive pushing power that they got.
Alright, Fia, you can give your closing thoughts about how you think it's going to go. I know that you love this draft, so very quickly.
I just think right now that the push potential from Liquid, if they have a good laning stage, are just going to take this game over really quickly. But if this game goes ultra late, it's going to be a very close game. But as usual, I normally go for the Morphling if network advantages are equal.
I mean, normally they say a quick game's a good game, but right here in Dota, game number 3 in Elimination Series, we want a close game. So let's jump in with Gareth and Gods.
Close game. Game 1 was a one-way street for Vici Gaming. Game 2, no Liquid floating back like we've been seeing. Game 3 here, Gods. Liquid, full comfort zone for them. Push strat, minus armor, tons of control. And Vici, I kind of like what Kezi was saying. They need to execute.
Yeah, and it feels like, I mean, it doesn't just feel like there is very little room for error when you're playing against this kind of a draft. Like the insane push potential of the Lone Druid, SF with minus armor ability, Beastmaster. You lose one fight or you slip up one time and the game will just suddenly be over.
some pretty serious power spikes and windows. These are terms that I feel like we don't use very much nowadays, but with Liquid's draft, it's absolutely all about these item timings. Even 20 minutes in, you can see this Matu Bear with a Zai Beastmaster running at tier 1, crushing them quickly.
Yeah, like Vici I was gonna say what Vici has going for them is, this ability to actually hunt and like kind of assassinate heroes. Like I expect a game where we see this Puck playing super active, stopping some of that push before it even comes their way, and then using stuff like the Lycan plus Grimstroke, drop an Inkswell on either your Clockwork, a Lycan Wolf, the Lycan himself, run at the SF, and just constantly look for some of these kills early on.
Yeah, get those picks. Right now, just a couple of wolves scouting a bear.
Battle begins.
It looks like a backstab from Boxy, trying to snipe a bounty rune, but he's met by Erica and Yang. So we will get 2 for 2 at the start of game 3 here. Right guys, time to decide who goes into that lower bracket final for a chance to go to TI. The EP already waiting for them, and a loss here of course means your road to TI ends.
And once again, it's mid lane Matu in an elimination game. We saw it last game with the Sniper, this time the Lone Druid. This is a mid matchup. They were playing quite a lot in Texas at the Arlington Major. They loved playing this Lone Druid into Puck. That was back when Puck was considered like the most OP hero at the patch. And they were willing to kind of leave it in the pool if it meant they could get a Lone Druid to send mid against it.
Yeah, they were one of the key teams that were playing this kind of IO Marcy Lone Druid, which we saw from OG and LGD, really stacking auras and buffs onto the bear to make him a real potent threat. And Liquid, they did start with a tri-lane for the first wave or so, but now we will see, of course, Boxy moving back up to top to help out his Shadow Fiend, leaving Insania down in the bottom lane again.
Yeah, again, it's this, like, okay, we want to melee support with our ranged carry, and Boxy on Tusk, not Clockwork, but playing into just the Lycan, a single melee hero. Last time he had a really good game against Shaker as well as Primal Beast, so I don't think he's going to be in for as good of a time this game, but there's still a lot he can make happen.
Absolutely. And just thinking back quickly to the final couple of picks, the Grim and the Puck, it really felt like you're looking at this potential for Beastmaster and Lone Druid. The other 3 heroes they picked had no wave clear whatsoever, so it was nice to see them grab a couple of heroes that can hold onto towers and shove back some of these summons the Liquid bring to the table.
I think one of the interesting points is going to be like what kind of build Shadow Fiend goes for. If it is going to be right-click build, I mean the minus armor obviously is going to be a big part of maybe their strategy. But whether some of these mid SFs like what we've seen out of like GPK and stuff, and some of these other players as being more magic damage heavy.
More nice shards. They're going to get in on top of Frisk and find the first blood for Mickey. Boxy lets him have it.
That's nice little early pickup for Liquid. The laning stage has been such a key factor for both the 2 games so far. We've had 2 pretty one-sided games, and the big cause has just been one team coming out of the lanes with a pretty sizable advantage.
Yeah, I kept flicking my eyes down bottom because every time I see down there, it's Yang with Battery Assault on top of Zai and Erica spamming out these adaptive strikes, keeping Zai at bay. And Senia, it's been a little more difficult for him because if he gets caught out with a Battery Assault, he could very likely die quickly.
Yeah, he's got the wind lace to try and counteract that, giving up any little bit of extra movement speed, and got Zai pulling waves behind the tower, so mostly Liquid not really wanting to play this lane heads up. They're trying to manipulate that equilibrium to give themselves an advantage.
Even starting to stack some camps there, Zai, with his board just before it expires. And Erica farming behind his tier 1 on this Morphling. Looking pretty decent so far at 13-8, but it's these other lanes where Matu, 16-6, starting to demolish that Puck. And Senia glimpsing Yang away. But yeah, also the Shadow Fiend, with that first blood and 20 last hits. He's cruising so far in his first 5 minutes.
Yep. It's the early Bassi to kind of secure his lane just for that kind of casual Bassi mana regen, and it's a tough lane. All Lycan can really do is kind of sit up here and farm and try and just get some early levels. There's not really any way for them to make any kind of aggressive plays up here, and Frisk is just trying to play the creep equilibrium game. Keep the lane pushed back, go for some of these side pulls whenever possible. But he's the one who has to be super careful, much like Insania does down bottom.
And not really looking for kill threat on DSF or anything like that, even though he's got Inkswell leveled up. Maybe put it on a Wolf to try and harass down the Shadow Fiend, but And for now, Liquid going to bring Tusk into the top water rune, and Matu sends the bear bottom.
Yep. They met XM at the top rune and managed to get the double rune out of it. They TP'd the bear. He just returns it back to the mid lane. So he's going to continue to just look to best this puck in the last hit battle. Currently, so the puck's 4 denies, and with a sizable CS advantage here.
Looking incredibly good. Zai, the only one really struggling on Liquid's side, but like you said, he's been dragging waves, finding little holes for himself to sit in.
Yep. I feel like this is every Beastmaster game. I just always see this hero lose and slay these days.
Yeah. It's like I might get my helmet in 9 minutes if I'm very, very lucky and we kill them a bunch of times, but usually it's around 11, 12, and he's going to be aiming for.
Yeah, and all these Beastmasters, they come back. They farm a couple jungle camps. They can still get a good, they'll get their home eventually. They'll push the tower. It's maybe going down here. There we go. Just enough damage.
There's a good glimpse from Insania, but still losing Beastmaster while top lane. Mickey puts the damage in onto the Lycan with those raises and right clicks. The Wolves, though, with Inkswell, can they focus on the correct one? They can. They got rid of it. So Frisk now left stranded, and Mickey going to pick up a yet. Ooh, he dies to that stroke of fate. The Grim kills the SF, but they still lose 2 heroes top.
Yeah. Still an acceptable trade for Liquid. They were so close to getting the double kill and keep the SF alive there. The stroke coming up off cooldown just in time. But this top lane has been a problem for Vici Gaming. They have at least gotten some okay CS on the Lycan, but these kills that are going Liquid's way definitely pose a problem for them.
Oh, and Boxy, okay. Observe a lot of high ground for Frisk. It looked like Boxy had slipped just past the Grimstroke, but they capture a bit of vision there onto the Tusk, seeing him obs into that Ancient's area.
Just another move, keeping these runes out of XM's hands. He was hoping for a bottom rune, but no 4-minute water rune, no 6-minute power rune. He's had to make a walk back to base, and as a result, he's about half a level behind Matu's lone druid and losing that CS battle, of course. So a tough lane for XM.
Right, so what's the kind of timing that Vici are looking for? Because Panel was saying late game they're going to look pretty good, but is there an early point at which they can fight back?
I mean, it's going to be around this puck Dreamcall perhaps, or Lycan's level 6, but the Inkswell plus the Dreamcall are kind of their big early game tools. So I'm curious to see if these two supports kind of sync up. I think they want to bring the Clockwork with the Grimstroke if they want to kind of take some of these early fights and moves, which does mean leaving Erica alone, but I think one of the strengths of picking Morkling is that the idea is that you can leave him alone, and you'll give Zai some kind of catch-up space if he's playing just against solo Morkling, but it almost seems essential for Vici Gaming that they make some kind of game-oriented plays, or this early game is going to, not go their way.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm asking is usually with a Grimstroke, you've got partners, right, with the Soulbind, so when you hit 6, you've got double Doom or double Stuns. Here, double Adaptive Strike.
They weren't really picking it for the Soulbind this game. I guess they just saw a lot of value in the Inkswell. Plus, something you mentioned was just having some wave clear against this super heavy, push-oriented draft. So there is some utility that this Grimstroke brings to the table. There's a potential Ags later on if to put on the SF. So we'll see where he goes.
Imagine if you could make an Ags version of the bear. That would be pretty handy.
Here we go, top lane. There's the Inkswell, but doesn't even connect it. Mickey just walks away, but they didn't have a kill anyways. But this is the idea. You've got level 3 wolves now that are in Viz. You can put the Inkswell on them. Action mid.
Under attack.
XM getting run at by the bear actually spends the coil. So Matu resummons, and it looks like El Doge going to go in towards Frisk. XM looking to get away with an orb up to the right-hand side, but the Grimstroke trapped under the grasp of the entangling claws, and a final touch from the bear will take him down. VG also brought in a Clockwork here to try and continue fighting. This is a bear resummon. If they can kill it, a massive victory for them, but there's just no way with the rest of Liquid arriving. Tusk and the Disruptor trying to keep Matu in fighting shape. Foxy with a nice snowball, and there are the claws, rooted up and entangling the Clockwork to take the second support kill.
This Matu's just so strong at this point. You get the level 7 bear, and to really go near him or fight him, that you're as a support teeping into a spirit bear, you just get eaten alive. Phase boots, gloves of haste, orb of corrosion. It's just no support can kind of match up against that unless you've got the ability to kind of kill off the bear. But They just lack the damage for it. They're going to instantly smoke up on the double supports, and Vici Gaming, this time around, they're like, okay, we can't address this bear. Let's head top. Let's head somewhere else.
Yeah, go towards Mickey. Try and pick off the Shadow Fiend. He's getting body blocked a little bit by the Wolves, and in comes Yang. Inkswell Battery Assault will connect. And it's just a matter of damage at this point, and trapped inside the cogs, it looks like Vici should have it, unless there's Snowball. Save up from Boxy, can't get off the Requiem. Boxy unable to buy enough time for Mickey there, so a good move from Vici Gaming.
Yeah, very close to saving him with the tough CP in. If he gets that Requiem off, gets the fear out, maybe he can survive it, but a much needed kill for Vici Gaming in this early game. And now they've got the Lycan up to level 6, his health coming out. So this is kind of what Vici Gaming were waiting for, getting this Lycan level 6, playing around the Grimstroke Inkswell, and they're going to keep making these kind of aggressive plays with their supports as well as the Lycan and the puck. Give Erica as much space as possible just to kind of farm and do his thing alone on the map.
And a similar story with the Beastmaster. We're talking about his timings of the
XM.
Whoa.
He went in.
Just died.
Yeah, waiting rift forward, I guess he...
Yang?
Dire's bottom tower.
As the claws land, oh no, he clawed the creep! They're still inside the cogs though, and the bear charging forward, won't be able to catch up though with the roar on Frisk. They'll switch targets, go for the Grimstroke instead. Vici Gaming starting to fall apart a little bit here, 10 minutes in.
Yeah, they've got serious lone druid problems. The Matu lone druid, such a classic for him, and in an elimination game, mentioned going to the mid lane again, putting himself in the best position to control this game, and so good for the lone druid specialist.
Next time he comes in here, he orbs and then realizes his tower is forfeit. No way of defending it. Transport wave utilized beautifully by Liquid, and now they can start transferring their efforts down to bottom.
And it's not just the lane advantage that makes Lone Druid against Puck good against Puck. It's the fact that Lone Druid pushes these objectives so fast. So XM kind of feels like he has to keep coming back to this mid lane. He can't make these rotations, particularly when you're not getting power runes. They lose the tower anyways, but XM has just spent this entire game in the mid lane not making those aggressive plays.
I mean, Yang is just being hunted. The Matu bear is everywhere.
Dire's top
Absolute
tower.
beast.
They are losing tier on top. Erica makes sure to secure it. Yeah, they've got Shapeshift with a Wild Wing Ripper up here, but I don't know what they can do.
I can imagine Liquid will make the counterplay down bottom, go for this tier 1 with Matu making the move down there. Very unlikely Vici Gaming can really put any pressure on the top tier 2 tower. There's too much danger with any TPs in, so yeah. We'll see where they head next.
And yeah, because of the threat of that Lone Druid, because Vici Gaming wanted to move top to try and kill off Mickey and find space there, it's given Zai a bit of a better time. We talked about his item timings and maybe a poor laning stage, but he's more than recovered.
It's going to be Vici Gaming pressuring the tier 1 mid with the Morphling. They do want to defend their bottom tier 2 tower. Mask of Madness Lone Druid will melt this in no time at all, so they have to bring in the puck, which means they may not be able to take the tier 1 mid. If anything, Liquid can make a counterplay.
Yeah, they go straight onto the Lycan. Oh, the Hurricane pushes back the bear. The Inkswell's there, but the shards are perfect from Boxy. Trapping in BA Bree, gets the TP as Frisk. He'll sacrifice himself. Yeah. Glimpsed back in.
The Inkswell, he's got an Inkswell on him, so he's just like, I'm going to TP out, and this bear probably shouldn't get an entangling claw on me. And the glimpse went to the support, maybe thinking from Insania that they had the kill on the Lycan there, but getting a support over the Lycan, not the outcome Liquid were hoping for. Just honestly a great move from Liquid. The fact they recognized they couldn't take the T2 tower with the puck TPing in, but then they knew that this mid lane was free for, like, basically to take a fight and to defend. Puck's not there, so they can kind of trickle in one by one to defend it and catch any stragglers with the glimpse.
And because they have this bear, they're not 4v5, they are 5v5, while the 6th man, the Shadow Fiend, is back in the jungle, and they're just killing off XM, Static Storm, Roar, and that's it.
This time they will take the T2 tower with a kill on the puck. There's no way to defend this. There's no Grimstroke. A quick T2 tower and an outpost control going to be going the way of Team Liquid.
It just happened so quickly as well. Like, I'm looking at SF, he's farming Ancients, suddenly they're killing a puck down bottom with a swift move in. It doesn't really feel like they've got super heavy reliance on long cooldown ultis. Static Storm, Roar, they'll be back up in a minute and a half.
Yep. Oh, agreed. I mean, for Vici, it just feels like they're going to be constantly in this like kind of 4v5 battles to defend towers if they ever happen, with Morphling always needing a bit more farm. Like, he's going to go for this fast Linkets, but this doesn't really like allow him to suddenly be this big contributor to a team fight. He needs more than that. And on the Liquid side, you're going to have an SF who gets a fast BKB, and once level 15 comes in, presence affecting buildings, Liquid are going to be looking for like a Roshan into high ground push.
Yeah, that Linkers doesn't save you against Static Storm, against the fear from Requiem. Still problems here for Erica to try and contend with in these team fights.
Shapeshift just to escape here.
Oh, wow. Wait. Little Wolfie. And Liquid already amassing a 5k lead. 3-10. Vici Gaming, they need so much more time. It's 14 minutes in, but it feels like Liquid, they're in their mid to late game already, right there.
Yeah.
They're ready to actually go and finish this game off in the next 5-10 minutes.
They're not messing around. They're not looking for that, that classic game 3, 60 minutes. We've had 2 stops either way. We're going to get a close game 3. They're looking to close this one out in 25 minutes. Like, they could go for Roche already, but they're kind of almost waiting for some of these, like, BKBs, because you don't want to, it's almost like they don't want to get the Aegis too early. They want to be able to, like, go for high ground or something with it. Usually Roshan is more like a, second Roche go high ground, but considering the draft they've got, this could be a Roche #1 into high ground push.
Yeah, very well could be. Matu hungry to get to potentially his last TI. Gets into the pit with his bear. Vici Gaming, they're smoking. Yang, BAB, and Frisk all together from the mid lane, but they're not heading towards the pit. They're angling for mid-tier 1, or the Ancients, it looks like. As Liquid stalling their Roche take just to shove out that mid-wave, trying to scout out and see where Vici Gaming are lurking.
Yang has a hook shot, but I'd be surprised to see him go for this one. There's Zai positioned well to block it. Go on it.
Doesn't go for it in the end.
Yeah, he's going to be a little bit careful. He's going to TP out here, but he gets scouted in this dire jungle. It's going to be an easy kill for Team Liquid, but they have more interest in just finishing up this item or two. The BKB on SF is probably the big one that's going to allow them to go for some kind of a push here.
Yeah, and even tried to catch XM while he's cutting waves and split pushing. Scout out Yang, he's doing the same thing. And Insania was drawing on the map with Boxy there, knowing where Vici Gaming are planning or intending to play with, and they do catch Yang. Clockwork attempted a hook shot over towards the Ancients, but there's no creeps there.
And Matu just solo pushing top. He's got an Aegis, he's on the break, he's got the Desolator completed. So this bear is just demolishing buildings at this point in the game. He's like, I don't need my SF, I don't need level 15, we'll just do it now.
Do it all on my own. What's to stop him? He's got his 4 branches on his hero, he's got boots, he's all fine.
Honestly, it just feels like Matu's putting his... I mean, everyone's playing well on the Liquid side, but like, he's just really stepped it up. He's making sure his team doesn't get knocked out, at least not in this best of 3. After a rough game 1 where his slot got shut down, game 2 and 3, he is really showing up. Bottom, they've caught XM.
XM, you can't be dying like this. Always on cooldown for 3 more seconds. Follow-up from Liquid is coming, but it might be too slow now. XM will get a bit of distance. Insania, 4 step forward, the shove. They don't see him. XM is away in the trees. Close one though, in the mid lane. They get Yang. Matsu and Mickey pairing up to take down the Clockwork.
Yeah, Matu, he sees buildings. He doesn't see here. I mean, he's killing a lot of heroes this game, but he's making sure that the hero kills he gets are right by these objectives. He's taking all these out of tier 2 towers. And 18 minutes in the game, we could see the last out of tower drop on the Vici Gaming side.
Vici trying to catch out his eye here, but he's got the back of a Foxy.
Yeah, XM though.
And the captain to XM, they'll take down the puck.
They've just done such a good job of just hunting him down in these side lanes here. They didn't even need the roll for it in the end. Blink Dagger's coming up soon on Boxy. He's actually taking over this bottom lane of farm because now you're going to have a Blink Tusk to catch puck as well. It's just such a hard game for XM to clear these creep waves, to cut waves, to stop the push from happening, and that's kind of his job. But when you're playing against Beastmaster Disruptor and now a Blink Tusk, it's almost suicidal to try and push out these waves.
Yeah, and it's also synchronized. Hey, Blink on Tusk, BKB Shadow Fiend, the Beastmaster finishes off Helm of the Overlord. Now having this Ancient Ice Shaman. as they can try and pivot back towards mid. The tier 2, well, it's already dead thanks to the bear and the shadow beam there. And level 15 for SF you've been talking about isn't that far away anymore.
Yeah.
But how long on Aegis? Is it enough to go high ground here?
And they can go high ground. They're not going to have the level 15 for it, but I don't think they need it. Just the bear alone is annihilating buildings and really got every item they need at this point.
Yeah, with 19 minutes in, they've forced the glyph already.
Yep. Oh, they're going to glyph their creep wave. That's how much they want to just go push right now.
Keep the steamroller going. Tier 3 didn't stand a chance. It ceases to exist to this bear. Soulbind comes in. Matu, again, holding Aegis still for a minute and a half, coiling in onto the Shadow Fiend and him, but there isn't any follow-up at all.
And that's all their ultimates. They use Shapeshift, they use Soulbind, they use Coil. What do you do now? This lane of Rax is... it's gone. I don't think you defend it even if you're Vici Gaming.
I spam out a few orbs, but Eric are kind of wondering why he's not elsewhere on the side storm punch. They've got them off. He's dead for 45. XM waning rift just about gets out of the shards, and the tier 3 falling did reset the glyph, but it only delays the inevitable demise of these buildings as the foundations of Vici's base, they're just shattered.
Yep. They've still got a mid on Aegis. They may just go for a second lane here. Even without Aegis, I think they just go high ground. Like, this Aegis is not a key part of their move by any means.
Back we go. Up the staircase, Boxy pushed by the cogs will snowball across. The hook shot misses as Yang just annihilated by the physical damage of Liquid. The bear will die though, requiring a resummon from Matumbaman.
Yeah, I think the bear has to be a bigger priority for these defenses. Problem is they just don't have... I mean, they can use the orbs and like the stroke, but it's just not easy to kill this bear without committing a lot of spells. Sally ho!
Goodness gracious, man, Vici, they're trying to move out on the map. You know, they've got this Helm of the Overlord over on the Lycan as well, so he has his own Ancient Eye Shaman. But even just getting to a tier 1 mid seems like such a struggle.
Yeah, now we're looking at that level 15 on SF we've been talking about quite a bit.
Look at that damage, 10k from the Lone Druid. He's doubling up the puck, he's quadrupling the amount of damage Morphling's done.
Just a stellar performance from Matu, controlling the game from the mid lane with a hero that you don't normally think of as like this huge playmaker. He's making Lone Druid look like one. The amount of pressure and the ability to just take all these out of towers, like he was taking top tier 3 tower by himself.
And they've got perfect ward coverage to see Vici in the mid lane as well. Liquid knows exactly where they are. So grouping up together, looking like they want to smoke from behind their own tier 1 area mid. But it's Vici to smoke first. Mickey showing on a wolf. Oh, that's pretty clever. They knew he had a wolf on him, so Mickey moves forward. Now they obfuscate the smoke. They're hiding behind him. They move up to high ground. They get in with Boxy. Immediate punch. Snowball across. The soulbind onto the bear, but Vici Gaming is being obliterated by Mickey and Matumbaman. Down goes Yang along with Frisk, and Vici Gaming full retreat. Not a chance in hell they can fight against this.
Yeah. And another fight where Vici like throw their spells
Snowball.
Just retreat.
Oh, Boxy to find the little puppy gonna get shredded here. Roared up. The Beastmaster teams the Lycan. And Team Liquid looking like they're gonna go high ground again.
They've got a creep wave coming. They just need this top wave. It's a giant wave at that. They just GG out. There's nothing they can do. Yeah, I mean, they're going to get mega creeps here. I mean, regardless of whether the game ends now, it's going to end in the next couple of minutes. So, GG Gaming, 22 minutes. We just speed ran through game 3.
Oh yeah, Matumbaman, no messing around from him. Game 2 and 3, a Sniper and Lone Druid, spectacular stuff. He said this could be his last TI. He's looking like he absolutely deserves and needs, requires to get to Singapore and play in those group stages.
And you can see it on their faces. They know the job's not done. They're kind of keeping those emotions like kind of low here. There's still one more best of 3 that Liquid has to get through to make it into the actual TI main event. But a game like that, it feels good, you know? It makes a statement. It's like heroes that now VP who are waiting for them have to kind of worry about and kind of consider for the drafts. And yeah, for Liquid, at least having such a straightforward, easy game 3, it means they're not going to end up in that grueling, long, like 7, 8, 9 hour day where you're playing like best of 3s that go like 60, 70 minutes.
Yeah, lower bracket momentum. I think it was Fear saying that you've got that nice little platform to launch yourself into the next best of three. As of course we do have that lower bracket final coming up. A lot of